we'll make our way through them. The first one is Eco Action. So I'd ask Dave Newton to come to the front, please. G'day, Dave. Good to see you again, and all your people.
We've just got a small pamphlet through all the councils.
Yep. I don't know if people realise the good work that Dave and his group do with Eco Action out at the Red Zone down in Chimera Place and at QE2 and stuff like that. It's well worth going down and showing an interest in what they're doing. It's fantastic.
Okay, so the format of the presentation is each of the students will say one of the screens and then step forward and step back, and then by the time we'll take some questions at the end. So Thomas,
if there's time.
Just stand there. That's good.
Kia ora, my name's Thomas Curry. So, we are Eco Action Nursery Trust. Thank you, Christchurch City Council, helping us so we can help support our community.
Hi, I'm Lauren. This year we've had students from 21 schools and 2 community groups pot on and then plant out eco-sourced native trees into our red zone.
Hi, I'm Harriet. Eco Action arranges land to plant on from both Christchurch City Council and LINZ at QE2 in Chimera Crescent.
Hi, I'm Catherine. We have a successful history of planting in the QE2 Adventure Nature Trail. This is 2 years of plant growth in an area that we planted.
Hi, I'm Ollie Dutoit. So Eco Action have planted 18,000 trees in 2022. We are hoping that in 2023 we're going to plant 30,000 trees, and in 2024 we're going to double that with 64,000 trees.
Hello, I'm Tony Philpott. We have 22 schools involved and 2 community groups, so thank you from all of us at Eco Action Nursery Trust. Some of the sponsors involved include the CLS Canterbury Landscapes, Christchurch City Council Parks Community Partnership, Enviro Waste, Isaac's Construction, Schools, Mainland Tank and Drums, LINZ, New Brighton Volunteer Fire Brigade and school partners.
The financial summary, what value does Eco Action provide? Well, thank you very much for the $15,000 grant that you gave us that'll fund this year. We put that together with $21,000 that we got from other sources, and that helped provide us with a zero budget for this year. And the value, if you add the volunteer labour contributed plus the trees we planted, that resulted in $273,000 worth of value. Next year, you've given us $25,000, which zeroed out our budget with a $16,000 grant from other sources. And next year's value added to the Christchurch City is $374,000 for that $25,000 investment. And it gets better from here.
Hi, I'm Eliza. Social value, what does the Eco Action program provide our youth community? It can building community involvement and participation, and it's tackling the climate emergency through plants sequestering greenhouse gases.
Hi, I'm Ben, and just on the back there you can see some of the planting we've done at Chimera Crescent and also the QE2 Adventure Trail. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much for your listening to us. We'd like to take some questions directed at the students more than me, if you don't mind.
Sam, yeah.
Hey, thank you very much. That's a really remarkable presentation. I just wondered, given the value for money you provide the city in terms of the contribution we give, how much more would you need to deliver a lot more trees? Because you can plant them a lot quicker and cheaper than sort of we can. So how much more money, I guess, before you get to full capacity?
I think I better answer that question. when we started this back in 6 or 7 years ago, I thought I was doing quite well growing 50 trees. It's all about over delivering and under promising. We're fairly certain that we can deliver at 60,000 trees, 64,000 trees, and we're going to hold that for 2 years just so that we are sure that we've got our systems in place. But you'll notice there is a large figure for not next year. We've zero budgeted again for next year, but the budget requirement for the following year to zero it out is 40,000. So we will be coming back to this forum at some stage in the future with our hand out, I'm afraid.
No, don't be afraid. I think it's good value for money. Yeah, thank you.
Also, I'd just like to add that Dave actually, they grow a lot of the plants from seedlings themselves. They're not trees from a nursery, so to speak, are they? You start with the little bit, don't you, someone?
Yes, so we it's like a 3-stage process in which we raise and from the seedlings to planting on the red zone. So we start out in like small seeding trays, and then once they've grown a bit, we then transfer them into 50 by 50 trays. So the size of the cups are around this length. It's probably a bit difficult to see. And then after they've grown a bit more, we plant them into actual pots, and then those are all ready to go and then plant out at the Christchurch red zone.
Yes, and I've been lucky enough to go down there and help you fold up all. They reuse all the plastic pot, well, as many as you can if they don't get damaged. And I dare say some of them, Dave, have gone around a number of times. 4 times. Well, there you go. So it's really good. It's a win-win all over the place. Kelly.
Thanks, Phil. First, congratulations, guys. I think it's absolutely magnificent what you're doing. How does it make you feel to take eco action? Anyone can answer.
It's really rewarding, like seeing the impact you're actually making in the community, and like going back to places you've planted out and seeing the growth. It's really exciting.
Anyone else?
I think it's also really cool to be able to work with other schools and see like the impact we can make coming together to work towards something.
Excellent. Thank you.
Alex.
Good day, everyone. Are there other schools that you guys are looking to onboard with this program?
I think I better answer that. David Newton. We've got a waiting list of 3 or 4 schools. We are full, and with regard to, we'd love to have more schools, but in order to, again, over deliver and under promise, we don't want to disappoint anybody. I've had several failures of seeds and seedlings. We lost. It's like farming. You can't absolutely guarantee unless you over deliver with the seedlings, and so I don't want to have a number of disappointed schools. I've seen too many programs fall over because they got too big too quick. So we're not going to do that. But certainly the 4 to 5 year plan, once we cement where we are, we will definitely involve other schools.
Pauline.
Oh, thank you. Look, I just wanted to say, you've come in here to say thank you to us, but it's us thanking you. You're doing this incredible work. I'm really blown out with it, and your enthusiasm for it's just fantastic, and what you're doing for the city. Thank you. Thank you.
Just a minute.
Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to coming down another not wet Sunday and helping you again.
So we can guarantee is the plants will be there. We can't guarantee the weather, but we don't plant in the rain. Wet underfoot, but not from above.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very kind.
Thank you. Righto. The next forum is from Susan, Jackson and Bob. Is Bob here? I'm not quite sure. For the Hapai Foundation. Oh, g'day, Bob. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm Susan Jackman. Unfortunately, Bob couldn't make it. He had
Sorry, couldn't see that far.
he had a delayed flight this morning and didn't get in until 2 a.m. So instead, we've got Mike Burke and Bill McCallany, who are two of our trustees. I'm the executive manager.
Good to see you back, Mike.
Pleased to be here.
Can I please borrow that paper?
Oh, sorry, Susan.
Thanks for having us along. I hope that, yes, you've got the infographic in front that I sent along, so I'm going to talk to that and add a little bit more information. So just on 2 years ago, following the City Council's decision to sunset the Kiwi-able leisure card scheme, the Hapai Access card was born, and I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the very generous support both financially from the City Council and also from Gary Watson and Rachel Mullins and their team. It's absolutely invaluable, then we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are if it weren't for them. So thank you. So I just want to give you an update as to what we've achieved in the last 2 years. We're approaching 2,000 cardholders, which is 2,000 people with a disability receiving better access in the community. We've formed partnerships with 26 NGOs to work with their clients to achieve better access. We've onboarded 102 businesses, which means we've worked with them to reduce their barriers to access for disabled persons. And we have over 150 businesses in the process of being onboarded. Tomorrow is a new achievement for us. At 4 p.m. on Plains FM, we're starting our new radio show called Hapai Days. Where we're starting off on our first show, interviewing our brand new patron, Sir David Carter. We've expanded out of Christchurch now. We have placed onboarded businesses in Queenstown, Nelson, the Selwyn District, Hamilton, as well as Auckland. In the 2 years we've been operating, we've worked with 32 volunteers, of which 9 have moved into paid employment. We have a diverse workplace and we've had people working with us from 9 different countries. We currently have 17 staff working with us, 13 of whom are volunteers and 7 have a disability. Our plans for the future are to develop partnerships to engage better with the Māori and Pacifica communities in Christchurch and Canterbury, continue with our national rollout, particularly into Greater Canterbury, and work to make the card a recognised photo ID, which is an objective from the government's disability strategy. And our vision for the future is for Christchurch to become New Zealand's most accessible city. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Aaron, please.
Just, it's not it is a question because I'll get you to explain it to people. When they look at the Hapai card, which is up in that top corner, it comes up on their screen when they open it. It has all the symbols along the bottom. Do you want to explain the value of having those symbols on the card and why they're there?
Sure, Aaron. So the way our card operates is by the symbols that Aaron's pointed out. There's 9 symbols. They've been developed with a lot of research and basis. They came from the UK, from a scheme called the Access Card in the UK, which has over 50,000 or actually approaching 100,000 card holders and over 2,000 businesses onboarded. They operate, it's quite simply a way of communicating your access needs to another party, i.e. a business. So I'll quickly go along the bottom from left to right. The 3 people standing is that person either has a physical difficulty or a cognitive difficulty with the concept of queuing or standing. The next symbol is level access for wheelchairs and or mobility aids. The +1 symbol is where the true value of our card comes into play. That means that person needs an essential companion or caregiver with them to engage in the community, and wherever a business we engage with has an admission price or a ticket charge, our deal breaker is that business must provide the companion ticket for free. Next along is difficulty walking distances. WC is a urgent access to toileting or incontinence issue. Next is an assistance dog. The next one along is difficulty hearing or comprehending audible information. The 6 dots is difficulty seeing or comprehending visual information. And both of those don't just encompass being deaf or blind, low vision. It could be often people who suffer from things like MS will sometimes have what they call brain fog, where the words or the letters on a page just don't make sense. And then the last one is hidden disability, which is for things that aren't actually covered by any of the other icons, or for things that aren't blatantly obvious to a third party. And this is things like, it covers things like photo sensitivity to light. It covers things like being mute. And when a card holder will have a combination of those icons, they may not have all of them. And when they go to a business, they present that card to the staff, and it's a way of discreetly communicating their access needs. So they don't need to say in a busy cafe, "Where's your toilet?" because I have incontinence problems. It's a discreet way of maintaining their dignity and receiving the reasonable accommodations that they need.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for coming and explaining. And
Time's up.
Time up. Sorry, we've got a lot on our plate. Right. How quick is it? I thought it was.
2,000 card holders, and just with those icons, you must have like a really good aggregated data set of like where the highest levels of need are that actually probably would provide the city or anybody with a lot of interesting information as to, how
Fantastic
to
question.
things.
We're currently working with the council to put a QR code or a barcode reader. We're just waiting for, particularly in the swimming pools, for the technology. I understand it's being upgraded. We're waiting for the upgrade of the technology, and we are going to put a QR or barcode, whichever is appropriate, on there so that people can get scanned in, and that will capture the icons and needs, and we'll have a great data set moving forward.
Very good.
That will be able to be really good for decision making in future.
Wonderful. Great to hear. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. That was
Mr.
a
Chair.
great question. Thank you very much for coming in, and keep up the good work.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you, Mike.
Okay, so the next one we've got is Lincoln Voice, of coming to talk to us for 5 minutes. And Denise, is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
hi.
thank you. Fire away.
Okay. I wish I'd been here with the previous 2 groups, to be honest. But anyway.
Don't be scared.
No, that's okay. Well, my name's Denise. Thank you for giving me the time to speak today. Normally I work at Rolleston College in learning support with high needs students, which is why I'd rather be with the previous group. I'm not a planner. I'm not a politician. I'm just someone who desperately wants to see some common sense. We understand that you have funds that you can apply, that we could apply for, but that under normal circumstances, we do not meet the criteria. We do, however, feel that our situation is exceptional, which is why we want to present to you today. So I'm representing Lincoln Voice Incorporated. They're a community group based in Lincoln, Selwyn. We got together originally to speak up for our community against a private plan change 69, which is due to turn 190 hectares of highly productive land, classes 1 to 3, so the best soil that New Zealand has, into, originally it was going to be 1,700 homes, but that could now be up to 5,000 homes. This is because, unlike yourselves who stood up for your residents, Selwyn District Council have introduced the medium density residential zoning across the whole of Lincoln, Prebbleton and Rolleston, with virtually no exceptions, and including all private plan change land, even that which is under appeal at the Environment Court, such as PC 69. So what we are wanting to ask you is, how does PC 69 fit with the vision and principles of the Greater Christchurch Partnership and its planning for efficient, coordinated, responsible growth and infrastructure investment? You will be aware that even the Greater Christchurch Partnership's own housing assessment estimates that in the short term, you are projected to have a capacity of 95,000 homes. In the medium term, this will be 83,000, and in the long term, you will still have an excess of 60,000 homes. How does PC69 fit in with the billions of dollars of public money that both the government and the Christchurch City have invested in the rebuild of Christchurch over the last decade and have planned for the decade ahead? Urban sprawl on the furthest edge of Lincoln will require significant public investment and take important public infrastructure money away from other areas of high need, such as Christchurch City. How does PC69 fit in with the billions of dollars? How does PC69 fit in with preserving irreplaceable, highly productive land and protecting a world-renowned food bowl right on your doorstep? Lincoln is home to the oldest agricultural university and the largest centre of land and environmental research in the Southern Hemisphere. We just can't understand why the Greater Christchurch Partnership and Environment Canterbury have so easily let all of this go. Christchurch City is becoming a donut city. Do you really want everyone living out around the edges? Do we in Selwyn want to be living in dormitory suburbs where no one is home during the day? Rolleston has already gone this way and has ever-increasing issues with youth crime rates. Yourselves and Environment Canterbury submitted very strongly against PC69 at the time. Sadly, though, neither yourselves or Environment Canterbury appealed the decision or joined our appeal as a Section 274 party, which we had really hoped that you would, considering that this massive subdivision flies in the face of everything that the Greater Christchurch Partnership was set out to achieve. We were fortunate enough to have the Environmental Defence Society join us as a 274 party, as they feel the issue is of national significance and saving highly productive land will be crucial for New Zealand going forwards, considering how much has already been lost to poor planning. Is it right, though, that a small community group with, to be honest, very little in the way of funding is left to see this appeal through without the support of those people who were put in place to do just that, i.e. protect the natural environment, uphold the integrity of the Greater Christchurch Partnership, and protect the urban and rural well-being of their communities? Selwyn District Council have failed us monumentally by telling us as ratepayers to take them to the Environment Court. They are also monumentally failing Christchurch City by actively promoting all the urban sprawl that they possibly can. Obviously, that is a bold statement for us to make, but if you look at the number of private plan changes that Selwyn have rushed through recently, then you will see why we have to say this. So basically, in summary, we are asking if there is any way, in any shape or form, that you can help us to start put this right and stand up for the words and intent of the Greater Christchurch Partnership, and mostly importantly, stand against the ongoing rapid loss of land on your city's boundaries that could feed your communities now and for generations to come, particularly in the face of rising climate change issues. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us today.
Thank you for going to the effort of coming and doing a fantastic presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
No, I haven't got
Do you
time
have
for
some
questions.
questions?
Can I ask you a question? Not before we run out of time here. I've got a process. Just can we get some staff advice to Lincoln Voice on the actual application processes and funds that might be available for a formal application process for funding, which is what ARWA did a few years back for their successful grant and successful case to the High Court.
I'm sure we can offer some advice. We'll work with John.
Yeah, so whether that's DRF or Capital Endowment Fund
so,
or whatever we
it
use
will
with
be.
ARWA.
I will seek staff advice and see what the position is.
And can we get some information back from GCP as well about what's going on?
Mm-hmm. The presentation clearly needs to go to GCP.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, the next one is Harrison Harrison, who is presenting regarding the upcoming Innes by-election. Welcome, Harrison.
Morning, everyone. So I've sent two things in just to show you quickly as we go through. So you'll have a map in front of you there. So I'll be full disclosure, I was a candidate in the last election going forward, and I probably will be considering that they're going to open tomorrow, is it? I think it does. So, but there was one thing that concerned me during the previous election cycle with regards to the geographical nature of the ward, and that was that there were no special voting or poll drop places within the physical boundaries of the ward for the previous triennial election. Given that the by-election will be self-contained, the fact that currently doesn't seem to have changed is something that concerns me. So on your map, you've got two red dots, which are the Papanui and Shirley service centres. So to that, I've added a number of orange dots, which represent feasible public access places within the ward. So, for example, Kokinga, the St Albans Community Centre on Colombo Street, the McFarlane Park Community Centre, most of the schools within the area, as well as supermarkets. So, as you can see, the only two places currently planned for the ward, as far as I'm aware, that have been publicly made available are the red dots, and yet within the ward, all of those orange dots potentially represent a place where a polling paper could be dropped, where there is access to staff, not necessarily council staff, but somebody who can assist with that in making sure that ballot papers are dropped, as well as, or being a high frequency place for people visiting, so schools, supermarkets, etc. Outside of Christchurch this year, there was a really significant point that was made in Auckland that a lot of the supermarkets in the central city had polling places, or rather, I say polling places, I mean drop boxes. And those drop boxes were quite successful in the number of ballot papers taken in. It also would move a lot of the drop boxes to publicly recognisable places within the ward that have a high degree of visibility and can have associated advertising, or rather, things around that. So that's something I just would be suggesting going forward. But yeah, the green ones represent ones that would also be suitable but aren't in the ward. So like Stanmore New World, which is a few blocks out but is a high place. But so that's the first thing. And then I've just also got, there's a spreadsheet as well that I have, which is just very rough data that I've taken from the past 3 triennial election reports and broken down, which shows that since 2016 there's been a relatively, I would say, not great trend towards with regards to voter behaviour and the way that the pamphlets are laid out. So we're not talking about the voting papers themselves, the actual ballot papers, but rather the information booklets that come alongside them. That there's becoming a trend that the further back in the booklet you are, the less likely you are to be elected, regardless of your suitability as a candidate. So the two biases that come into play here are ticket bias and incumbency bias, where a candidate is an incumbent or they have a ticket, seem to counteract that. But when a candidate doesn't have that bias, for example, in this year, no candidate was elected from further back in the booklet than the 5th position unless they had a bias in their favour, which was incumbency and or a ticket. And of that, there were only 5 as far as I'm aware. And going back to 2019, there were 7, and none were elected from further back than 4th in the booklet without those biases. So, but that's just some very rough data I've broken down. It could probably be broken down further and done in a more statistical nature, but from a first look perception, it's just something I'd like to raise with the council about that. So, yeah.
Thank you, Harrison. Pauline, you had something.
It's really interesting.
Just one.
Just looking at the little dots to the left of Cranford there.
Yep.
Is one of them the BP?
One of them is the super value BP area,
Yeah.
and then the one below it is Kohinga. And then below that you have the marae on
Oh, I see.
Springfield Road.
Right.
So-
So the only other thing that would have been interesting to see on there is the location of post boxes.
Yeah,
which
I'd
are actually very few,
I actually did note that after I sent it, I thought I should have put that on the map.
but they're very few.
For reference, I don't actually even know where they are. I think there's one in that area just outside. Is there one just outside the BP still?
No, there's one in the supermarket,
Okay.
and then there's one maybe on Warrington Street, and then the Palms. There's very few,
Yeah.
and so I think that's really interesting. Thank you.
That's right. Yep.
Thank you, Harrison. Thank you for the points you have raised today. That's very enlightening. Thank you very much. Okay, the last one is Clive James, who is here, is presenting regarding the chlorination in the Birdlings Flat area. Welcome.
Good morning to you all. I'd like to thank the Council for this opportunity to speak here today. I'm Clive James, and this is Stephen Duda. We're residents of the Birdlings Flat and the heads of the Birdlings Flat Action Group. My previous position as the Three Waters team leader for the Clutha District Council gives me the insight required to speak to this matter. Reading a media post by Tyrone Fields on Facebook on the 18th of November, which is last Friday, we found out that Council intended to chlorinate our water supply with immediate effect. Feedback from locals flooded in on social media. It just went mental. This motivated me to have my say on the matter, as I don't believe this is the right action to take in our unique situation. The last time this action was suggested by the Council back in 2009, and following consultation and much debate with the residents, UV disinfection was chosen to be the preferred water treatment agreed by both parties. Regarding today's case, no notice has been provided by Council or provision for research or submissions to be made by the residents, and it's just not right. We, the Action Group, and as witnessed by our petition, demand the Council suspend further action due to our unique situation and water quality as by your test results indicate. We believe we reach all the criteria set out by Tumata ROY for residual disinfection exemption. After consultation with a Waimaka Area District Council representative, I was provided with the attached document, the Council to work with the Tumata ROY on chlorine exemption as attached. Several points in this document help me reach the conclusion that there are many options available before we take such a drastic measure as chlorinating our pristine water full time. Therefore, we ask your team immediately works with Tumata ROY and obtains an exemption as soon as possible from having to full-time chlorinate our water, as the Waimaka Area District Council has already done. You may not know about how Birdlings Flat is unique. We're unique for these reasons. Our population is way less than 500. We already have a safe system. Our bore depth is 188 metres and travels through 5 different aquifers. We have existing UV disinfection and sound filters. We have newly installed backflow prevention at each residence. Due to our isolation, most residents grow their own food in vegetable gardens and must water particularly through the summer months. Birdlings Flat has unique wildlife, and we have lizards and skunks not found anywhere aside from the Kaikaraiti spit. These live and feed off our veggie patches and the insects that live around our homes. We also have plant life and other insects found nowhere in New Zealand. The dangers of regular introduction of chlorine into our water supply has long-lasting risks and effect to both human health and to our unique wildlife via the introduction of chlorinated water from gardens, etc., as many case studies have indicated. I would now like to just respond to Helen Beaumont's evocative letter that we received yesterday threatening to commence chlorinization tomorrow, Thursday, on the 24th of November. On the morning of 22nd, I personally visited the bore site, as can be seen on the council security cameras. I see no evidence of any slumping of the bore head, previous or otherwise. So we will require evidence that this is the case. Anyway, untreated water is pumped from the well to the storage tank at the treatment plant and then passes through a media filter before final UV treatment and distribution to properties. So it is still not receiving disinfection treatment. It is receiving disinfection treatment prior to usage. So therefore we do not have any untreated water supply being delivered directly from the bore. We believe the installation of a chlorine system for emergency use only, as dictated by the test results and unfavourable E. coli readings, would be an acceptable solution to the community, but must only be used due to an emergency and whilst any physical work on the bore is taking place next year. Our current UV system must not be removed, as we feel that this is a totally acceptable treatment once full exemption is received. We look forward to a positive resolution. As discussed with Tyrone and Tim, the community says no, and no means no. Any questions?
No, unfortunately, because it's your area.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be quick. So thanks, Clive and Steve. So what does this issue mean to you on a personal level?
Thank you, Tyrone, and I will be quick. On top of all this, my wife has terminal lung cancer and has extreme skin conditions. And so having chlorine in water is it'll just flare up something wicked. And the more and more people I talk to within the community is in the same boat, that they've all got various skin conditions, eczema. You know, we've got kids along the road with eczema that will flare up with chlorine additive. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Thank you very much.
We need to receive the petition
Yeah,
now.
yeah. We need to receive your
Thank you for your
petition.
time.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Have a discussion about what we do, or based on what we've heard, or?
So my advice to you would be, I know we have briefing this afternoon. I suggest that Helen and Jane come and talk to you about the position, exactly what the score is from the officer perspective, and walk you through the issues in light of what you've heard in the presentation this morning.
Mm-hmm. So we'll make time this afternoon.
We'll make time this afternoon.
So, now we move on to deputations. There are none. We move on to petitions.